In this session, we're going to focus on the breath. The breath is one of the fastest ways to stabilize and ground our nervous system, put us into a state of rest and digest, even if we're in the middle of what feels like a chaotic day or a state of total stress or anxiety. We can always use the breath, and it works in just a few moments. So just notice that you are present. Like, here I am, all the baggage I'm carrying with me. Might be that I don't feel like I'm carrying much baggage today, as in emotional or mental. Maybe I feel pretty steady, pretty calm. Pretty grounded, or maybe it doesn't feel like that. Maybe it feels as if I'm carrying the weight of the world today. But either way, they're just feelings. The weight of the world isn't really on your shoulders, any more than the state of calm is. We're just aware of both of them. So just noticing how you feel is enough. That takes you straight into presence. And then noticing how your breath is moving right now. And you might notice that that is linked to the way that you feel. So if you're feeling a bit disjointed or a bit distracted, you might notice that your breath also feels a bit disjointed. If you're feeling grounded, calm, you may notice that the breath is also steady, smooth. It's very unusual for our breath to take a different pattern to our mental or emotional state. And if it helps, it does for some people, you might want to rest one hand or both hands on top of your tummy. That's an option. Some people like to feel the breath. And we'll just gently ease ourselves into the practice by working with a focus on that egg-shaped breath. And don't worry if it's not for you, just one practice. So imagine the shape of an egg in your head with a pointy bit at the top. It could be a two-dimensional, three-dimensional egg, or just an outline. And as you slowly breathe in, the breath moves up one side of the egg towards the point at the top. And as you breathe out, you notice you don't really do anything at all. The breath just falls or slides out of the body. You may notice that there's a slight pause at the top, just before the breath falls away, almost like you're coming to the top of a roller coaster. The breath just hangs or balances there for a moment, and then it slides away down the other side of the egg. You may notice each time it reaches the bottom of the egg, it gradually slows down until it almost loses momentum altogether. And then you just add a tiny bit of effort and you pull it back up the other side. If it feels as if it's happening too fast to focus on, imagine that your egg is much bigger or enormous. Almost like you're zooming out. You get this really broken down picture of what's going on. It's much easier to follow. You might notice that as the breath comes in, it carries a different feeling to the breath going out. That active breath in can feel literally more excitable or carry some sort of excited energy, even if it's very subtle. And that breath out can sometimes feel very cathartic, as if you're not only letting go of the breath, but you're letting go of tension, internal baggage that you don't need to carry. Wherever you're locating that feeling or that image of an egg, see if you can just drop it down below the belly button and in the middle there, between the belly button and the spine. So about an egg's length, literally, below the belly button, and then an egg's length backwards into the middle of the body down there. So it feels as if you're breathing into a point almost down in the pelvis, in the bowl of the pelvis. A couple of inches down from the belly button and a couple of inches back towards the spine. Right in the center, in that deep part of the abdomen. And allow that egg just to gently change shape or morph into a sphere or a ball or a cylinder, whatever resonates with you. Maybe a glowing sphere works for a lot of people, or a glowing ball in that exact spot. So visualize that ball. Couple of inches or a few inches below the belly button and a couple of inches back, deep down in the abdomen. And you inhale into that deepest part. Imagine you're inhaling directly into that glowing ball in the bowl of your pelvis. And as you inhale, it feels as if it glows brighter or it expands in size, whatever works for you. You don't have to be able to visualize it. You might just have a feeling for it or sense it. As you exhale, it shrinks or becomes less bright. So you've got this point of focus. Maybe this pulsating ball of light. Totally and perfectly connected to your inhale and your exhale. And you can feel that expansion in that lowest part of your abdomen. But first, see if you can just notice the movement at the front of the body. If you're struggling, you can just rest a hand or both hands on that position just below the belly button. Do make sure you drop that breath deep down, not above the belly, but deep into the pelvis. It can still be a very small breath, doesn't need to be any larger than normal, any deeper, but it's physically located deep. And keep dropping it deeper down. We often think we're deep, but we're actually above the belly button. We're in line with the belly button, and actually that's still in line with the bottom ribs for most people. Can you detect a more subtle movement of the body at the back, that lowest part of the back? As you breathe in, as that glowing sphere or orb expands, can you feel the lowest part of the back moving slightly? It's going to be very subtle. It might feel like a gentle stretching or a tightness. Sometimes it feels like an expansion across the lower back. But this is just above the pelvis, but below the ribs. Don't worry if you're finding it hard to locate. If you are lying on the floor, you might feel it pushing gently against the floor. Or if you're in a chair or in bed, you might feel it pushing against those. But you can feel it just sitting up. Just have to focus a little bit more. Again, don't make that breath any bigger. Still as slow and soft as before. And now can you get a feeling for some movement on the left and the right side? Just above where you can feel the top of the pelvis at the sides there. You might say just above your hips. And this is the subtlest of the three areas for most people. You feel the sides just gently pushing outwards. It may be really subtle, almost impossible to notice, but there is movement there. You might notice that one side feels more open than the other, or moves more than the other. You don't need to try and balance them out. And now from that central point, right in the middle of the body, down deep in the pelvis, each time you breathe in, can you feel as if there's a ring radiating outwards, or a hoop, so that you're aware of that movement at the front, the sides and the back, and all of the points in between. Almost like a star exploding in every direction. And again, that movement might be the subtlest, barely observable, but it is there. And as we observe it, we just get this perfect, totally valid time to ourselves. And ourself being the observer, the witness, the one that's watching. There's no effort that we have to put in to know the breath or be with the breath. In truth, it would be hard to say that we were breathing. We are just knowing or observing the breathing. The breathing is breathing itself. So for the next couple of minutes, just rest as the knowing or the observer. Now gradually allow the breath to just become a little more present, maybe a bit more active or energized. Feeling your body from head to toe. Taking 4 or 5 slightly bigger breaths, and each one of these serves to connect you back with the physical body. It doesn't mean you have to let go of any calm or peace or stillness that you've touched, just because the body is moving. And slowly starting to find some gentle movement in your wrists, fingers, ankles, toes. No need to rush. That might just grow into a stretch or a rub of the face or rubbing the hands, whatever works for you. And as ever, not having any judgment of the practice. We do the practice because we can. What a luxury. But we let go of any judgment or labelling of whether it was good or bad afterwards. That's never useful at all. The fact we've done it is always useful.